Everyone, welcome. Today we're going to dig into emotional control, but probably not from the angle you're used to. We're going to explore the actual chemistry behind why you might feel more on edge than you think you should, and, more importantly, what you can actually do about it. All right, let's get right into it.
You know that feeling, right? The keys aren't where you left them, the Wi-Fi is slow, someone says something that just rubs you the wrong way, and boom, you react with this intensity that, even in the moment, you know is just way over the top. It's so frustrating, and look, it happens to all of us. But why?
For so long, the advice has just been, get a grip, control yourself. But what if I told you that it's not always about willpower? What if your emotional state is actually being influenced or even hijacked by invisible chemical forces that turn these tiny little annoyances into full-blown outbursts? It's a fascinating idea, and honestly, a really empowering one. So here's the game plan. First, we're going to talk about why emotional stability is basically a superpower. Then we'll take a trip inside the brain's command center to see what's going on. After that, we'll uncover some of these unseen chemical manipulators lurking in our environment. Then we'll look at the chemistry on our plates, and finally, we'll pull it all together to build a real plan for emotional resilience.
Okay, let's start with the big picture. I want you to think about emotional regulation not as a chore, but as a genuine superpower in our modern world. Because honestly, when you have it, everything else in your life just gets better.
And check out how everything here is connected. When you're emotionally stable, that thinking part of your brain, your prefrontal cortex, it just works better. That means clearer judgment, better decisions. Your relationships get deeper because you're not in constant conflict. Your performance at work or school goes up, and get this, even your physical health improves because you're not constantly flooding your system with stress hormones. It's a massive, positive, upward spiral.
But of course, the opposite is just as powerful. Chronic irritability isn't just a bad mood. It's a destructive force. It creates friction and conflict that can push people away. It literally makes our thinking more extreme and biased because our brain is stuck on high alert. That triggers the fight or flight response, which puts incredible stress on our bodies. And this right here shows the vicious cycle perfectly. You get irritable, which causes a conflict. Then you feel guilty about it, which causes stress. And what does that stress do? It makes you even more irritable. It's a trap.
So to break that trap, we have to understand where it all begins. So let's head into the brain's command center and meet the two key players in this whole emotional drama.
So think of it like this. Your brain has two competing systems. On one side, you've got the amygdala. That's your emotional arm. It's ancient, it's super fast, and it's all about instinct. It screams danger before you even have a chance to think. Then on the other side, you have your prefrontal cortex. This is the rational brake. It's the modern, logical part that says, whoa, hang on a second, let's analyze this. The problem? The alarm is way faster than the brake. And under certain conditions, that alarm could become hypersensitive while the brake gets sluggish and weak. And that leads to this really crucial three-step process. It's a chain reaction. First, hidden chemical stressors cause low-grade inflammation and hormonal imbalances in your brain cells. That's the foundation. Second, this stress makes your amygdala, that alarm system, hair trigger sensitive. Suddenly, a neutral comment sounds like a personal attack. And third, your prefrontal cortex, the brake, is weakened by all this, so it can't step in fast enough to stop the reaction. And the result? That impulsive, emotional outburst that feels like it came from nowhere.
This brings us to the most important question, right? What are these chemical stressors? This is where we start to pull back the curtain on the invisible forces that can hijack our brain chemistry, often without us even knowing it.
I absolutely love this quote because it completely reframes the problem. It tells us that sometimes when we're struggling to stay calm, it's not a personal failing. It means there might be an invisible hand from our environment that's chemically tipping the scales against us.
And here are some of those invisible hands. We're talking about stuff like heavy metals, lead, mercury, which can directly mess with your nerve signals. Then you've got endocrine disruptors, like BPA and some plastics, that actually mimic your body's hormones and throw everything out of whack. Even things we choose to use, like high doses of stimulants, can lock us into a stress response. And everyday pollutants? They can cause that low-grade brain inflammation we talked about, putting our whole emotional system on edge 24/7.
Now there's one class of chemicals that's particularly sneaky: anabolic androgenic steroids, or AAS. You can think of them as chemical impersonators. Their molecular shape is so similar to hormones like testosterone that they can actually fit into the same cellular locks, the same receptors. And by hijacking this incredibly powerful hormonal pathway, they can directly trigger the responses that go with it, including, you guessed it, heightened irritability and aggression. It's a powerful reminder of how easily our chemistry can be fooled.
Okay, so we've talked about these big environmental threats that can feel a little bit out of our control. But now, let's shift gears and talk about an area where you have a huge amount of influence every single day, the chemistry that's right there on your plate.
Think of this as your practical guide to eating for emotional balance. On the left, you've got your allies. Things with tryptophan, like turkey or bananas, give your body the raw material to make serotonin, that feel-good chemical. Omega-3s in salmon and walnuts are just fantastic for overall brain health. But on the right, we have the potential troublemakers. You know, a lot of sugar can lead to that infamous hangry blood sugar crash. Alcohol might feel relaxing at first, but it can actually deplete your serotonin levels later. The point here isn't to demonize any food, but to understand its chemical power so you can make choices that support the mood you want to have.
All right, so we've covered the why, the how, and the what. Let's bring this all home and put it together into a final action plan for building real, chemically backed, emotional resilience.
So, it really boils down to two powerful strategies. First, just build your awareness. Start noticing the plastics you use, the synthetic fragrances in your home, the air quality alerts on your phone. Simply acknowledging that these things can impact your mood is a massive first step. And second, be proactive with your diet. Don't just eat for fuel or for taste, eat for your brain. Start thinking of food as your daily toolkit for managing your own internal chemistry.
And that leaves us with one final thought to take with you today. Looking back on your day through this new chemical lens, what did you feed your emotions? Was it fuel for calm and stability, or was it chemistry for stress and irritability? The amazing thing is, the power to choose is yours.